Doctor's warning, 5 foods you must never reheat. Cancer risk explained. It is time to critically examine how we handle our leftovers. The information presented here, rooted deeply in years of medical research journals, unveils critical insights that are often overlooked, even by many healthcare professionals. The reheating process, seemingly innocuous, can silently trigger chemical reactions within certain foods, leading to compounds directly linked to cancer cell growth, chronic inflammation, and accelerated cellular aging. These are not minor concerns, but significant health implications hidden in our daily routines. A substantial study, published in a leading European nutrition journal, meticulously followed over 11,000 adults aged 60 and above for a period of 8 years. The findings were truly astonishing. Individuals who routinely reheated specific food groups exhibited a 34% higher concentration of nitrosamines and heterocyclic amines in their bloodstream. These two classes of compounds have been formally classified by a major international health organization as probable human carcinogens. A 34% increase is far from a mere statistical blip. It represents a serious health risk that might be lurking unnoticed in countless kitchens. Before delving into the specific foods, consider this. One item on this list, which will be revealed later, surprised even many experts when the research first emerged. It is a food widely consumed, often 3 or more times a week, and generally regarded as one of the healthiest choices one can make. The implications surrounding this particular food are profound, making it crucial to understand the science behind it. Understanding who this message resonates with is important. Many individuals, especially those in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, regularly reheat meals, often unaware of the underlying chemical transformations. This information is designed specifically for those seeking to live better, offering actionable insights tailored to the biological changes that occur with age. We will count down from 5 to 1, moving from concerning to absolutely critical. As we progress, the urgency of the warnings will intensify. The first food to consider, coming in at number 5, is rice. Many might find this surprising, as rice has been a dietary staple for billions of people across millennia and is often considered utterly harmless. However, a specific issue arises when cooked rice is allowed to cool and then reheated. This is where the scientific details become genuinely alarming, particularly for an aging body. When cooked rice is left at room temperature for an extended period, a spore-forming bacterium known as Bacillus cereus begins to proliferate at an extraordinary rate. While reheating the rice might kill the bacteria themselves, it unfortunately does not destroy the toxins they have already produced. These toxins are heat-stable, meaning they can withstand the temperatures reached in a microwave or on a stovetop. Once consumed, these resilient toxins trigger a cascade of gastrointestinal inflammation. For individuals over 70, this inflammatory response can be significantly more damaging than it would be in a younger person. The reason for this heightened vulnerability lies in the aging process itself. After the age of 65, the mucosal lining of the gut, which acts as a protective barrier, naturally begins to thin. Researchers describe this process as intestinal senescence. Imagine this gut lining as a robust firewall, protecting a computer system. In a younger adult, this firewall is thick and highly effective. By the age of 75, however, it can develop gaps and become compromised. When the heat-stable bacterial toxins from reheated rice encounter this weakened gut lining, they pass more easily into the bloodstream. This infiltration triggers what immunologists refer to as systemic low-grade inflammation. This chronic, subtle inflammation is a foundational mechanism linked to a host of serious health conditions, including colorectal cancer, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline, all of which become more prevalent with age. A study conducted by a national food standards agency revealed that improper storage and reheating of rice contributed to tens of thousands of food poisoning cases annually in a single country alone, with older adults being disproportionately affected in the most severe instances. The practical solution to this risk is straightforward and requires careful attention. If you cook rice, it should ideally be consumed immediately. If storage is necessary, the cooked rice must be placed in the refrigerator within 1 hour of cooking. It is crucial not to wait 2 or 3 hours. The 1 hour window is key to minimizing bacterial growth and toxin production. Should you decide to reheat stored rice, add a splash of water and heat it thoroughly until it reaches a rolling steam, ensuring the internal temperature is at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout. Once reheated, consume it immediately. It is strongly advised never to reheat rice a second time, as even a single reheating pushes the boundary of safety, and a second significantly increases the potential for danger. To further mitigate the risk, consider pairing your freshly cooked or safely reheated rice with turmeric and black pepper. Curcumin, the active compound found in turmeric, has been shown in various research studies to suppress the very inflammatory pathways that these bacterial toxins activate. When consumed together, turmeric and black pepper can create a meaningful protective effect, enhancing the body's natural defense mechanisms against inflammation. Moving on to number 4, we shift from a pantry staple to a common refrigerator item that many individuals, especially older adults, keep on hand. The transformation this food undergoes in a microwave is described by food scientists as a structural nightmare. Number 4 on our list is chicken. This particular food holds significant importance due to the observed consequences in clinical settings. Chicken, being a protein-dense food, offers excellent nutritional value, particularly for maintaining muscle mass. However, protein possesses a chemical vulnerability that becomes apparent during reheating. When chicken is reheated, particularly in a microwave, its intricate protein structures begin to break down and then reform into what biochemists term protein oxidation byproducts. More specifically, compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, form in measurably higher concentrations with each subsequent reheating cycle. One can visualize AGEs as a form of rust developing on metal. Every time high, uneven heat is applied to already cooked protein, this rusting process is accelerated. Once consumed, AGEs bind to specific receptors in the body, triggering inflammatory signaling. These compounds are directly associated with accelerated cellular aging, the stiffening of arteries, and the promotion of a tumor microenvironment, meaning they create conditions that facilitate the survival and growth of potentially cancerous cells. Studies have found that individuals whose diets are rich in AGEs exhibit significantly elevated markers of oxidative stress. Older adults, in particular, show a 40% reduced ability to clear these harmful compounds compared to younger adults. This is because, after the age of 70, the kidneys and liver, the body's primary detoxification organs, operate at diminished efficiency. What a 35-year-old body might flush out in a matter of hours can remain in an older system for days, prolonging exposure to these damaging byproducts. If chicken is a favored part of your diet, and it should be, given that lean protein is crucial for preventing sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that diminishes independence, the best approach is to eat it fresh. Cook only the amount you intend to consume in a single sitting. If reheating is unavoidable, do so on a low stovetop setting, adding some moisture to prevent further protein degradation. Crucially, never allow the internal temperature to exceed 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Furthermore, consider pairing your chicken with a generous serving of cruciferous vegetables, such as broccoli or Brussels sprouts. The compound sulforaphane, abundant in these vegetables, activates a specific protein in the body that essentially switches on your cellular defense system against oxidative damage. This combination not only enhances the nutritional value of your meal, but also offers a protective effect against the harmful compounds formed during reheating. Number 3 on our list brings us to a food cherished across many cultures, one that most people assume is practically indestructible: eggs. This is a food that demands close attention before we delve into the top 2 most critical items. Reheated. Eggs undergo some of the most dramatic chemical transformations of any food when subjected to microwave heating. When eggs are cooked and then reheated, the proteins, specifically the amino acid chains that constitute albumin and ovalbumin, denature in a way that produces oxidized cholesterol compounds. While cholesterol itself has been reevaluated and is no longer universally considered the villain it once was, oxidized cholesterol, cholesterol that has been chemically altered by heat exposure, is an entirely different matter. Research published in a prominent journal focusing on agricultural and food chemistry has identified over a dozen distinct oxysterol compounds in reheated eggs. These compounds are directly cytotoxic, meaning they are toxic to living cells, particularly the endothelial cells that line our blood vessels. For individuals over 70 whose cardiovascular systems are already contending with increased arterial rigidity, a daily dose of oxidized cholesterol compounds disrupting their inner lining is the last thing their blood vessels need. Beyond cardiovascular risk, animal studies conducted at a well-known university demonstrated that dietary oxysterols promoted tumor growth in colon tissue. They achieve this by suppressing a natural immune surveillance mechanism that the body employs to detect and destroy abnormal cells. This mechanism, known as apoptosis, is already approximately 35% less efficient in adults over 75 compared to those in their 40s. Therefore, consuming reheated eggs can be akin to fueling a fire that your body is increasingly less equipped to fight. The practical guidance for eggs is straightforward and should be strictly followed. Eggs must be eaten fresh. If you are preparing scrambled eggs or a frittata, consume them immediately after they come off the heat. A soft-boiled or hard-boiled egg consumed cold is actually a safer option if you require something prepared in advance, as the absence of additional heat prevents further oxysterol formation. To enhance the protective benefits, pair your eggs with fresh spinach and a light drizzle of olive oil. The polyphenols found in olive oil and the lutein present in spinach work synergistically to create what researchers refer to as a quenching effect on lipid oxidation. They literally absorb and neutralize some of these potentially harmful compounds before your body has to process them, offering a biochemical shield against damage. If this information is proving to be insightful and transformative, prompting a new awareness regarding daily eating habits, then this knowledge is truly valuable. It is important that this evidence-based content, specifically designed for individuals in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, reaches those who deserve information tailored for their biology, rather than recycled advice intended for younger demographics. Now let's turn our attention to the final two items on this list, which present the most urgent concerns. These are the foods that warrant the highest level of vigilance. Coming in at number 2, and this is the item that was hinted at earlier, is spinach and other leafy green vegetables. It is understandable if this comes as a shock, as fresh spinach features prominently on virtually every superfood list, and indeed, fresh spinach is among the most nutritionally dense foods available. However, reheated spinach is a biochemically different food, and the distinction is dramatic. Spinach naturally contains high levels of nitrates. In its fresh state, these dietary nitrates are beneficial as they convert into nitric oxide in the body, which supports healthy blood pressure and circulation. The problem arises when spinach is cooked and then subsequently reheated. Under heat stress, these same beneficial nitrates undergo a chemical conversion, transforming into nitrites. When these nitrites then interact with the amino acids present in spinach, particularly within the acidic environment of the stomach, they form nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are among the most extensively studied carcinogenic compounds in food science. A leading international agency for research on cancer has classified certain nitrosamines as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning they are not merely suspected but are confirmed causes of cancer in humans. A study conducted by a Federal Institute for Risk Assessment found that reheated spinach could contain nitrosamine concentrations up to 400% higher than freshly cooked spinach. This staggering increase applies not only to spinach, but also to all nitrate-rich leafy greens, including kale, chard, beet greens, and celery, operating through the same chemical mechanism and yielding the same concerning outcome. For older adults, this issue is compounded by a specific physiological change. Gastric acid production naturally decreases with age. Research from a renowned medical institution indicates that by age 70, approximately 30% of adults produce significantly less stomach acid than they did in their 40s. Lower stomach acid actually accelerates the conversion of nitrites to nitrosamines. This means that the aging gut is not only more vulnerable to the damage caused by these compounds, but is also more likely to create the harmful compounds in the first place, presenting a double risk. The advice for leafy greens is straightforward. Eat them fresh, or if cooked, consume them immediately. If you have leftover cooked greens, they should never be reheated. Instead, consider eating them cold in a salad, blending them into a smoothie with some protein powder, or simply discarding them. This is one area where the rule is absolute for safety. To maximize protection, pair your fresh spinach with foods rich in vitamin C, such as lemon juice, bell peppers, or strawberries. Vitamin C is a potent nitrosamine inhibitor. Research from a respected university found that ascorbic acid, vitamin C, when consumed alongside nitrate-rich foods, could reduce nitrosamine formation by up to 73%. This combination, spinach with lemon for example, is more than just culinary wisdom. It is a powerful biochemical protection. Observations from clinical settings have shown that simple dietary shifts away from reheated greens can lead to remarkable turnarounds in inflammatory markers and overall well-being. And now we arrive at number 1, the single most dangerous food to reheat, according to the current body of scientific evidence. It is crucial to absorb every word of this information. This finding often surprises almost everyone, and it certainly surprised many experts when the research, initially published by an Institute of Food Technologists in the early 2000s, was first reviewed and subsequently replicated multiple times. The most critical food to never reheat is mushrooms. Mushrooms possess an extraordinarily complex protein structure containing all 8 essential amino acids, which makes them one of the rare plant foods with complete protein profiles. However, this very complexity becomes a significant problem when heat is reapplied. When mushrooms are cooked, their proteins begin to break down immediately. Unlike chicken or eggs, the protein compounds in mushrooms are particularly unstable under secondary heat exposure. Reheating mushrooms triggers the rapid oxidation of their polyunsaturated fatty acid content, leading to the production of a class of compounds called malondialdehyde, often abbreviated as MDA. MDA is one of the most potent markers of lipid peroxidation and cellular DNA damage known in nutritional biochemistry. Research from a European Academy of Sciences found that reheated mushrooms exhibited MDA concentrations 380% higher than freshly cooked mushrooms, an alarming increase. MDA does not remain passively in the digestive tract. It readily crosses the intestinal barrier and enters systemic circulation, where it reacts with your DNA in a process called adduct formation. This means it physically attaches to your DNA strands, causing the type of mutations that are precursors to cancer development. A national toxicology program has identified MDA as a clear animal carcinogen, with substantial mechanistic evidence suggesting its relevance to human health. For older adults, this is particularly devastating because DNA repair efficiency naturally declines with age. Research from a leading institute for research on aging shows that by age 75, a cell's ability to detect and repair DNA damage is 50% less effective than it was at 45. Consequently, the DNA damage inflicted by reheated mushroom compounds is far less likely to be detected and corrected. It accumulates over time, and this accumulation is precisely how mutations can progress into malignancy. The solution to this risk is beautifully simple. Always cook mushrooms fresh. They cook remarkably quickly, typically within 6 to 8 minutes, in a hot pan with a small amount of olive oil and garlic. If you happen to have leftover cooked mushrooms, they can be safely consumed cold in a wrap or a salad. They are genuinely delicious cold. However, they should never be microwaved or reheated on the stove. To enhance the protective benefits, pair your fresh mushrooms with a source of vitamin D, such as wild salmon, sardines, or a high-quality supplement. Mushrooms and vitamin D3 work synergistically to activate natural killer cells, which are your immune system's frontline defense against abnormal cell growth. This powerful pairing has been studied at a prominent university and found to significantly enhance immune surveillance in adults over 65, providing an additional layer of cellular protection. Ultimately, the discussion today extends beyond just food. It is about the quality of life we aspire to live. It is about maintaining sharpness, strength, mobility, and independence for ourselves and for the people who cherish us. Every single choice made in the kitchen either contributes to building up the body or quietly, subtly tearing it down. The encouraging truth, consistently observed in decades of clinical practice, is that the human body, even at 75 or 80, possesses a remarkable capacity to respond positively to the right inputs. Inflammatory markers can drop, energy levels can return, and mental clarity can improve. It is genuinely never too late to make these changes. Individuals in their late 70s have been seen to reclaim vitality they once believed was lost forever, simply by making smarter, informed decisions about the food on their plates. We are not mere passengers in this journey of health. We are the drivers. Armed with this knowledge, which most people will never have, we can make profound differences. This conversation belongs to all who seek to live better and healthier lives.